A secondary condition is an ailment that's a direct result of another service-connected disability. It is very much connected medically, professionally, research-wise, etc. Let's get into how all that works. All right, let's talk about 8 solid strategies for tackling secondary conditions when it comes to VA disability. Strategy number 1, medical nexus letters. I am a proponent and I'm very cautious at the same time about medical nexus letters. Here's the reason why, right? Medical nexus letters, if they're written by a good qualified professional, if you can get your personal doctor to write one, that's great. But most people have to rely on those who are medical professionals that are now charging for that. And, you know, if it helps prove a claim that is going to be very beneficial for you long term, that's great. If it's going to help you, you know, get a 10% bump and that's not going to do anything for you, I don't know whether or not I'd go down that path. They are useful, right? Getting somebody to put one together for you for free, that's a different thing. So that letter, a medical nexus letter, must include references to your medical history, relevant medical studies, and the reason that the 2 conditions or the 2 ailments are connected. The service-connected one already and the new one. Awesome. Medical nexus letters. Strategy 2, comprehensive medical documentation. What that means is you have gotten that medical documentation that is solid from your time in service, from after your time in service, all of that documentation that you need that could absolutely say, hey, we've got tests, we got treatments, we have doctor's notes, all that stuff is included in this comprehensive medical documentation. Make sure you have that. That is critical to your success. Number 3, lay statements, buddy statements, whatever you want to call them. Now, these aren't a guarantee that you're going to, you know, this isn't going to make or break your case, quite honestly, because a buddy of yours could say, hey, yeah, he had his head ripped off while we were in, you know, whatever, in Afghanistan. Well, your head's obviously not ripped off. So, buddy statements are helpful, and lay statements, especially from others who see you, like if you get some from your work, your workplace, from your social circles, etc., those can become helpful as well, but they're not going to make or break your case. They're just going to reinforce it. So keep that in mind. Strategy 4, utilize the VA resources and the regulations. Familiarity with the regulations, 38 CFR, is critical, especially for secondary conditions. If you don't want to look it up, go find a VSO who will look it up for you and help you out, because you have to know what those regulations are, and those resources are out there. The schedule for ratings disabilities is out there. They outline how they're evaluated, and they can really help you either strengthen your case, or they're going to help you figure out that, wait a minute, I need more evidence before I go forward. Awesome. Number 5, appeal your denied claims. So initial claims, especially for supplemental conditions, they get denied, honestly. If it happens, don't worry about it. I've got another video that talks about what to do if you get a denial letter, but the appeals process is there for you to make sure that all that relevant information is considered and that those mistakes can be corrected. You can either get a higher level review or you can add in a supplemental claim. So a couple common examples of secondary conditions, and I'm going to do this a couple times here between now and the end of the video. I'm just going to give you some examples just so that you know what we're talking about. Arthritis secondary to a knee injury. Obviously, you have a knee injury, you develop arthritis, that's a secondary condition. GERD, acid reflux. GERD secondary to PTSD or medication side effects. That is a very common thing. Lower extremity nerve damage secondary to diabetes. So, you know, they say diabetics they get tingling, they lose sensation, nerve damage in their fingers and their feet. That's absolutely going to be a secondary condition. Now, with all of these, you have to have the initial condition already rated. You have to have that service connection already in place. Even if it's a 0, even if it's 0%, you go back and stack things on top of that if you really do have those conditions. 6, leverage medical studies and medical research. This is critical. Now, if you get somebody that's going to write your medical nexus letter for you, then you're in great shape, because they are going to go back and look at these resources. They're going to look up the research. They're going to make sure that they say, hey, according to this study done here, there, etc., this shows that PTSD and GERD are connected, etc., etc. So leverage medical research and studies. If you're not going to get a medical nexus letter done, make sure you do a lot of research and find every single bit of official medical documentation that says 2 conditions are connected. Number 7, ensure the continuity of your symptoms. Okay, what does that mean? That means that make sure that you have regular follow-ups, treatments, you document your complaints about these problems that you have consistently. Emphasize that connection between the primary and secondary every time you see a doctor, especially if you see a VA doctor. They're supposed to write these things down. But make sure everything is documented. This goes back to that documentation, right? Documentation of a continuous line of medical observations and treatments that can help you really stabilize your claim, right? So make sure you get that continuity of symptoms. Finally, we're going to go to 8. Employ symptom diaries. This is helpful for a few reasons, but you need to have medical evidence. You need to have that, that research that connects the two. But if you have a symptom diary, like, this happens when I have this condition come up, or this happens every day, or I have GERD on a continuous basis and I'm taking medication daily to address it, and it's all due to my PTSD as documented in the VA, blah, 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 blah. You make sure you have all of that and you should be golden. All right, so there's 8. I'm going to give you 3 more examples of secondary conditions just to kind of get your brain thinking right? Heart disease, secondary to PTSD. You wouldn't think that would be something, but PTSD puts a strain on a lot of pieces of your life. Sleep apnea, secondary to PTSD, or obesity, which is secondary to PTSD. Tertiary would be the sleep apnea, right? PTSD caused me to, stop working out, didn't care about things anymore, which caused me to get heavy, which caused me to get sleep apnea. If you can put all that together and get a good medical nexus put together, that will come in very, very handy. And last but not least, hypertension, secondary to chronic pain. Listen, a lot of Gulf War era veterans, a lot of Vietnam veterans, they have chronic pain, have had chronic pain for years. And if you have that service connected, you might want to take a look and see if you have hypertension. If you have hypertension and there's a definition of it in the schedule of ratings, in the CFR, and you can qualify for hypertension secondary to chronic pain. Awesome. Hey, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Don't forget to hit like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about this thing, and let's take care of each other. See ya.